Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode on Laid Back the Zinga podcast. Our topic for this week is men's health. Let's talk about it. Our guest for today is an experienced doctor in the field of public health. Hello, Dr. Ebuka. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Arize. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Or should I say Oyebo?
From way back, but not anymore, man.
Or should I say Oyebo?
Those days are far gone behind me.
I know. But those were the fun times, though, to be fair.
They were amazing times, honestly.
I tell you. But let's start with just talking about men's health. Why do you think men actually struggle to talk about their health issues?
Yeah, I mean, you're just so on point, man. I think, it's a bit complex, really. The view of...
Is it a cultural thing or just like...
Exactly, I'm just trying to think about
society? I don't know, because a lot of men, they struggle to say what's going on with them, even whether it is mental health, physical, they struggle to talk about it.
So it's a mix, of both society, both biology, both culture, both even history, and even political. So it's a mixture. The sort of masculinity, how men are willing or not willing to engage with their health.
Yeah.
Of course, imago is affected by many factors. So biologically, at 14 or 15, your voice breaks and becomes this deep thing that even your mother is thinking that is her husband calling her when you say things. Your voice becomes deep all of a sudden. You start developing muscles. And somehow you are now expected to stop crying. You're expected to stop showing emotions too much. You are now expected to become strong, assertive, these kind of things. These are sort of, Western wise is considered sort of masculinities. But again, even as Africans, it affects us. You become a provider essentially for the household. You are now being looked up to, and you don't want anything to challenge that viability. That way you are being seen as that competent sexual provider, man that can provide for our need, that person we can run to. You don't want anything, for example, like ill health to challenge that position. So I think, it's a bit of a complex maze, but I think what you say is really true. It is a fact that men don't like talking about those things.
No. It's something I've noticed, because I know life of a man is all about responsibilities. Whether you like to, it's all about responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And I notice a lot of people maybe in the process of executing their responsibilities, maybe they've opened up to somebody and they use it against them, or I don't know what it is.
That's true.
Men do not open up. So one day, something is going to happen, or it's going to be used against them, or it's going to put them in a vulnerable state where somebody takes advantage of them or something, they really do not open up at all. Even if they are dying, they just keep quiet.
I think you made an important point, and that point is about vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think it's just to understand that vulnerability is part of being a human being.
Yeah.
It's part of life. You're going to be vulnerable at one time or another. Yeah. And once we embrace that fact that, look, this is part of life, maybe it makes it easier to, come to terms with the weaknesses or emerging challenges with our body, that affect our competence, so-called competence, because vulnerability is also part of competence, if you see what I mean. You can't advise somebody who is depressed, for example, if you've never been there, So, in a sense, that vulnerability almost empowers you to be of better use to maybe your children, friends, and so forth. Yes.
Yeah, because I've spoken to a lot of men and they tell you they are depressed and all. Because of the kind of person I am, I don't see it in the negative light. But I've noticed a lot of people when, for example, or like if you're in the midst of guys, they will tell, my brother, wait till be this one, I beg, man up. Nah, wait till be the... But I don't think
man up. Man up, I like that.
That's the approach to it, because deep down there must be something troubling that guy. Because whether you like it, men sometimes I feel like men worry too much because it's part of responsibility. You're worried, am I sure my children have eaten today? There's always something you are worried about. So,
always.
But next time the person is telling you they are depressed, and then you see someone telling the person just man up. I don't think that's the best answer the person needs at that point. So
this thing has affected even the health system, right? Because imagine when you get to a typical, so in most places, most countries of the world, there is some sort of tertiary health care where they treat specialties, heart, livers, organs. And then there's the sort of primary health care, your health centers, your GP surgeries. You can't jump to the tertiary. You have to go through the primary first. They will refer you upwards. But you see, primary health care is almost entirely oriented towards women and children. I don't know if you've been to any primary health care in any African country. The number of pregnant women you see, the number of children who have come to take vaccines, and even you as a man, you'll be asking yourself, what am I doing here, struggling for line with these people? I should just go and look for something to do.
But we're going to get to that. For some reason, I don't know if it's because children are like, when children are sick, they cry, and then when women are struggling with something, they voice out their problems. But for example, because if you look at incidence of cancer in the world, cancer and death, cancer-related deaths in the world, you would notice that the prevalence of prostate cancer is similar. I'm not saying it's the same, but it's similar to breast cancer. But for some reason, there's more awareness about breast cancer than
absolutely.
Then you start wondering why.
Absolutely. I think the point you just raised now just hits the nail on the head. There's the point about awareness, because women talk. For some reason, women talk. And, I don't know if you've witnessed where girls gist among themselves, ladies gist among themselves. There's no taboo topic. They can literally talk everything.
Everything's allowed.
Everything is allowed. But imagine going to your mates, you're sitting down, and you're telling them, man, I can't perform well in the other room. How do you say that? Or I feel depressed, I feel like killing myself.
Yeah, but
amongst your friends, it's not even as if it's a tabooed area to get into.
Because most people, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it is a cultural thing or societal thing, because sometimes in that situation, a lot of men will start thinking they are better than the other guy instead of even helping the guy. I don't know why.
Absolutely, yeah.
So because I've been in situations and I just observe. You see somebody bring his problem to the table. Instead of helping now, you see the people automatically thinking, oh, now this guy is lesser than us. For some reason. But you can read the energy.
You can read absolutely, and is that competitive competence in us? You know how agama lizards compete among the males to get the females. That sort of innate tendency. That's why I say it's a mixture of both testosterone, so biology and sociology and society. Because of men being innately, almost in a sense, competitive, even though that's not a very good explanation for it, because at least there's healthy competition. But it affects, willingness of people to admit any kind of weakness. And experiences. Once you have a bad experience, I won't tell anymore. I'll just try and figure out my shit, my stuff, man.
And you don't blame them, because if somebody has opened up about a health challenge or something, and he now realizes the way people treat him changes afterwards. You never expect that person to open up again.
Never ever.
The person will never open up. The person will not realize, this is why this person is treating me this way. But it's so fascinating that if you check the statistics and realize the incidence of prostate cancer is similar to breast cancer, it's fascinating because they really talk about it, honestly.
Nobody talks about prostate. Nobody talks about prostate. No. And just the prostate you mentioned, there's a fact about it, which is the fact that it's more common amongst black men. It has to do with it's more common among those of us who identify as black, sadly. The entire phenomenon is not being fully studied. So it's 50% more common in blacks in terms of incidence. But in terms of mortality, blacks are twice more likely to die from it.
To die? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you see, our excess incidence almost triples when it comes to mortality, because we are only 50% more likely to get it, but we are now twice more likely to die from it. So there's what you said, there's the point about awareness in terms of
a lot of men end up not saying anything and see it as a death sentence or what. They just keep quiet until it gets to a later stage or something.
And which is why what you said is true, because we need to talk about these things. And funny enough, prostate cancer is one of the cancers that you die with rather than die from, if you see what I mean. Yeah. If you find it's not a cancer that is going to kill you, compared to other cancers, it's a relatively indolent tumor. It doesn't grow so fast. But because of this fear of speaking out, I don't want to go to hospital and find out that I'm dying. So I want to delay the evil day. Let me just provide for these children as much as possible. I don't want to find out that anything is deeply wrong with me. Maybe the guy has gone to urinate and the thing refused to come out. Or maybe as he's taking a leak, it starts and stops. Or maybe he has seen blood and he's now worried, concerned that there's something, worried, something is deeply wrong. Yeah. So that fear, but unfortunately, something that when you catch early is actually quite fairly easy compared to other cancers to sort of control, and deal with, and it doesn't have to kill a lot of us. So the thing about raising awareness is so crucial.
It's so important, because I remember when I was working in the hospital in Nigeria, and we used to crack this joke, even as young health professionals, that the only way to get men to come to the hospital is when you actually convince them that the thing will affect their manhood. That's the only way to convince them to come. For some reason, because you see a man who has issues, like maybe the person has bonds, or like the person will refuse to go. But once you mention the thing will affect their manhood, this or that one, that's when like their antenna is on.
All of them will run. Yeah.
And they just listen.
And you're right, erectile dysfunction is one of the reasons that drives men with prostates to eventually find out that it was prostate issues all the while. So, and I think it's rather funny. But at this stage, we need entry points to men. I mean, if it's the manhood, then so be it. Because think of mental health, for example.
Yeah.
Think of, the substance abuse, for example.
Yeah.
So many things. And I feel that men are crying within.
True.
It's almost like the society is not letting them to cry out,
True.
Because of the pressures, again, that they have to face with their families and everything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But there should be a safe space for them to actually open up. Because even when you talk, like you mentioned mental health now, you realize even when they tell men to go to therapy, trust me, therapy, as far as I'm concerned, it is not the same for men and women. As far as I'm concerned, it's not. Women know how to talk, so there's a way the therapist will talk to them like get them coming to get the woman to come to keep coming. From there they'll sort out the issue. But men, no. I think a man's life is different, and when a man needs therapy, he needs to release his demons. Anything that will make him to channel that energy, that anger,
absolutely,
maybe his purpose or something.
Yeah.
I think he will become a totally different man. So he's totally different from men compared to women.
Yeah. And what you said, they've used it in managing people who are incarcerated, prisoners, and everything.
Yeah.
And they find that they excel in things like woodwork, metal work, maybe manual things that are done with the hand. They really do sophisticated things. Because, as you say, we need to channel that energy. But the point about safe space is, I think, is fundamental for our society to now start creating safe spaces for men. If not, very soon, many men will be raving mad. And I want to say that safe space may not be the hospital, just to point it out, because a lot of men will get disappointed.
Yeah.
The hospital has not been trained, the health workers have not been trained on how to render male-friendly services. If you get to the hospital, just look around the wall, all the pictures, you see picture of pregnant women, picture of different stages of pregnancy, picture of a child, nothing to say man here. So the health workers, yes, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you short, but CDC is say about safe space. There's something I tell men, like, you cannot create. I saw this thing on Twitter. It's funny, but it's the truth. Someone wrote on Twitter that you cannot make your home Baghdad and expect to come back to like Barbados or something.
Come on.
The man's number one safe space is his family, and if he cannot open up to the wife or the children, like at least the family was taught to like for them to be succor and help and support. If you cannot open up there, it's a problem already, because it's worse, because everybody has issues. We all need somebody we all need support. We need someone we can vent to that will not use that against us. You see what I mean? So imagine the situation, those men that don't have that safe space, they can't talk to their wives, they can't talk to their families, there's no support. Trust is even worse, and before you know it, the person may go really mad, because now the people who are supposed to be his support are not there.
Yeah, and there's a sense in which almost is as if you're not trusted when you say you're maybe feeling sick or maybe you're feeling depressed. It's almost considered, that is not a proper sickness, that is an aberration that you're sick. I met a man who was suffering from low back pain. Low back pain it's low back pain. It's not cancer, it's not malaria, it's not pneumonia. It's just low back pain. But it was literally crippling the man, And he said, he said his greatest challenge was convincing his colleagues at work, his family members, that he's really, really sick, that he's not feeling well. Yeah. And I think we should all just be more compassionate. But for some reason, we need to find a way to make men talk. Yeah. This how far I did. That idea, we need to unpack it. We need to unpack that idea, the work again.
The work at all. Because, like I said, honestly, a lot of people, they just need someone to talk to. But I'm about to link another disease to the erectile dysfunction thing, and that's the only time people actually talk about it. For example, I know type 1 and type 2 diabetes are more common in men than women. And I don't think there's any genetic factor to it. But for some reason, I notice a lot of men don't really talk about it until it gets to the point where maybe it affects their performance or something. So is there any reason why you think more men are predisposed to diabetes than women? Is there any genetic link there?
So diabetes is a bit of a complex one, because both genetics, as you said, environment, our lifestyles, all play a role in how diabetes emerges. And, I think the culture of just checking your health, men need to know that, yes, you have big muscles, but they're not going to last forever. Your body is not an inexhaustible resource. Yeah. You have to start checking it out. Once you hit 30, 35, from the culture of going to hospital, you'll be shocked. One day you put your hand, they'll say your blood pressure is climbing high. You remember when we used to play football in Fresco, in the fields of our university? Medical students, science students, everybody you never know the value of those physical exercises, because we rapidly transition into another phase where we are doing calls. You are doing 24-hour calls, and there's no gradient to gradually, move you into a new lifestyle. You all of a sudden move from the student life to a healthcare worker who is now responsible for blood, for patients' lives, outcomes. So the stress, it just changes dramatically. And if you're not careful, within a short time, your physical body will start responding badly to it. A lot of the intake of sugar is from stress. What I mean is there's a hormone that is produced during stress. It's called cortisol. And cortisol triggers something called gluconeogenesis. Not that what it increases our sugar test. So people who are under stress eat more refined sugars. Yeah. So instead of blaming, people that, why are you eating sugary food, fizzy drinks, blah, 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 there's a stress they're going through that has not been diagnosed, and most often the health system cannot go deep enough. So when I mean safe spaces, and like what you're doing, Arinze, what you're doing is at a community level. It goes deeper than what goes on in hospital. It's a space for men to vent, essentially. Men to just talk about the things that they... When I was younger, a man told me that before anybody says Jack Robinson, my little man is already out and ready to function. But now, you almost have to cajole the thing. You have to sing for the thing. The thing is reluctantly coming out, to do. So, and he was worried. And that was the first time he came to hospital to see me, because he now needed a song to get up, and do his deed. So, and from that, we now found many other things, that were ailing him. His blood pressure was high. His sugar was running out of control. So and his mental health was not. Yes.
It's impossible. That was actually the problem that was causing the did not to come up anymore.
That was what was narrowing the arteries to the thing. So it's not about and the poor woman at home was busy thinking she's no longer attractive. Exactly. These things happen, and society is complex. We just have to be more patient. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Interesting. But I know your research focus right now is on tuberculosis. So could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, tuberculosis, just exactly what you've pointed out in prostate, diabetes, mental health. The first sign of tuberculosis is cough in more than 80 to 90% of cases.
Yeah.
And what the hell? I'm just having a cough. That's what typical men will tell you.
Yeah.
And they don't see the legitimacy in taking time away from providing for their families, to go to hospital and spend maybe hours just to treat a cough. Hello, doctor, are you all right? I should stop my life to treat a cough. So because of that sort of masculine attitude towards health, they delay it. What we have found is men suffer more delay in reaching care for tuberculosis. The meaning is that their lungs would have been much more damaged when they start treatment. And it means that even when we give them the best of our medicines, they will have poorer outcomes than those who had access to treatment early.
Yeah.
So like you said, the whole summary of my research is looking for ways to make the available TB services more welcoming to men. It's free. The TB services are free. The medicines are free. The test is free.
But at least convince them to come earlier, isn't it?
Yes, just to find it. Even if it includes taking the care to bed houses, to motor parks, to where I see men in informal congregation, wherever, just to get them. Because when you do a TB clinic, most of the people who will be attending will be women and children.
Yeah.
But the few men there will have more TB than all those women who have come. So TB is much higher amongst women. In Nigeria, it's nearly 2/3 the prevalence in men compared to prevalence in women. But the treatment profile does not show the same feature.
But I'm curious here. I thought tuberculosis is actually like an opportunistic infection that actually just arises when there's like something like HIV, or does it
Yes and no. Yes, because you're very much spot on. Anything that reduces your immunity, even things like diabetes, we're finding out.
Yeah.
Things like alcohol use, chronic alcoholism, things like tobacco smoking, and most powerfully HIV.
Yeah.
Those things will increase your risk. So those with HIV are almost like 33 times more at risk of developing TB than those without HIV.
Yeah.
But we found that in Nigeria, malnutrition is crucial.
Yeah.
Malnutrition is so fundamental. But if the bacterial load, in other words, the TB germs you have inhaled has been huge, it can actually occur in people who are considered immunocompetent. Just that it will take time to decimate the kind of cells that fight it. It will take many years to attack the body from places where the body does not suspect, and then it blossoms, it then blows up into clinical disease. But yes, it is more in people who are immunocompromised, but affects everybody. It's airborne, basically. So, it's only second to COVID in terms of deaths worldwide. If not, TB is the most lethal infectious agent in the whole world. it kills more than TB and HIV and malaria put together. It's not to scare people, but just to say that, look, this is preventable, it's curable, test and treatment are free. So just encourage your boyfriends, your side men, your husband, your sons, encourage all the men you know to go and check out that cough, man.
but so you'll be based in Zachary Research Center, isn't it? So
yes,
is that in which part of the country is that, or do you?
So it's in North Central Nigeria, it's in Nasarawa State, but the research that we are leading occurs in 4 African countries. So we have research sites in Malawi, research sites in Uganda, in Kampala, somewhere in the suburbs of Kampala, and research sites in Kenya, somewhere in Nairobi. In addition to the Nigerian sites, it's pivoted at Liverpool, the School of Tropical Medicine in Liverpool. And so there's an
with the school.
Yes, it's run together with the school. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. All right. Additionally, you also mentioned that you are writing a book as well. Are you happy to tell us about the book? Or...
I feel so found out. You are undressing me in public, my man. This is unfair. But yes. No. I mean, no. There's nothing to hide. Yes, I'm writing a book. It has to do with harnessing obscurity. What I call harnessing obscurity. I just feel like in this age of social media, there's so much craze for public approval. There's so much craze for likes, for shares. People just want to be accepted at any cost. And I feel like the hiddenness of building capacity, in life is almost being lost in the upcoming generation. It's those that are locked in rooms that discover the apps we use. It's the social media, it's those that lock away in some place that build enough value to cause societal change. So I'm trying to repaint obscurity. It's a bit countercultural, given today's move, to repaint obscurity as not something bad, but actually something that can be leveraged to perfect your craft before the unforgiving scrutiny of the limelight. The limelight will not let you grow anymore. By the time you're in the limelight, it's expected you have been perfected. So many times, if you've not been really dealt with, it could lead to catastrophe. I mean, that's the summary of the book, essentially.
No, that's. I think that's a very, very important thing to talk about, because most people will tell you these days, oh, you have to sell yourself, your networking. But I believe, first of all, for you to even, for example, I believe in creativity. I'm a creative person, and I notice creative. I need to be on my own for some.
Yeah.
If you're just going for a walk, I need to be on my own to think.
Yeah.
And I don't think and I don't think it's something you come up with great ideas by just showing yourself all the time. No, it's something you have to go away a little bit, away from the crowd to think, and then come up with something. But like, social media has made a lot of people, everything to them, they seek validation all the time, and sometimes you need it. I don't even think you need it, but I think you no matter what you do, you still need to put your product out there when you are done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but not when you are trying as much as possible. And if somebody says A, you switch to A. If somebody says B, you switch to B. I don't think that will help. And
that's what we see in social media. That's the whole idea of trends. I want to jump on a trend. Yeah. And I think there's someone somewhere determining what the trends are. And that person is not busy jumping on the trends. He's trying to see the future. So exactly, every creative person, be it an artist, be it a writer, a musician, even sports people, you need the time of staying away, just solitude, derive creativity, interact with nature. So don't see it as a bad, and it may be that you've been a popular person, you've been in an exalted position, and all of a sudden the tides change. You find yourself almost in obscurity. Don't see it as a negative occurrence. Use it to rebuild for the next wave. There's a statement I make in the book that lifelong learning is the secret to future relevance, because the pace at which things are changing, keep at pace as well, particularly those that are professional. Yes.
No, you are so right. You see, this thing you talked about lifelong learning. I grew up in a household where I was taught learning is important. For example, I tell people this thing all the time. They think I'm lying. I use football to learn about geography. I did not like geography. It's not gonna be, but the world, like what you can relate to, because you learn a lot. But it's all about the person seeing that everything is a form of education. You're not just
absolutely.
But a lot of people, once they get just a chunk of knowledge, they think they know more than everybody.
Oh, come on. Tell me that. Have you tried that game with a Nigerian recently?
I've seen
you feel so stupid.
Oh my God, like, you just know a chunk of something. You don't even know it. Even if you do, there's something I believe. There's this thing I read when I was younger. It's called being an Italian fool. Shut up. I just ask more questions and you learn more. Just shut up. But once they get chunk, just tiny bit of knowledge,
they jump out. So I think that's all about the book. I'm just thinking of when you used to play football, and I think what you said makes sense. You know, I remember your passing ability. You know, that ability to understand space and time. You know, as you just mentioned, your love for football and how it links to geography, your understanding of geographical places and spaces. And I think I see it in your passing, how you were able to spread passes to literally all parts of the field. Not everybody can do that. To others, their strengths were pace. To others, their strengths were brute strength. You know, others. But you had an eye for spaces, and I think it makes sense to me. You know, how you were able to pick out anybody from any.
But now let's link it to your children. Like now, so you have kids now. So what advice would you give them about life in terms of like standing out and obscurity? What advice would you give?
So I think I'm able to just calm them down a little bit, because you know children are facing pressures from the external environment. We have been blessed. We can afford many things. Maybe we can afford all that they need, but they will every once in a while run into people who try to show off, who are a bit showy. You know, so again, my job is to calm them down, to focus their eyes on one things that are important. My first is a pianist. She plays the keyboard. She wants to become a singer-songwriter. Obviously, I'm not a good doctor. I'm not good enough to inspire any of them to follow my track. So, and then the second also wants to do something else. So it's just to inspire them that look, you need to focus. The author of Outliers says you need to invest at least 10,000 hours. Yes, Marco, before you can really become world class at whatever venture it is. Just to encourage them to stay true to their purpose. Look, this is what I've decided to do. Stick with it as much as possible. Don't get carried away by the other things going on around. So children need to realize that what you do in early life affects how you turn out as an adult. And one of those critical values to imbibe is that of being a stickler with things, just sticking with things until you get them done. Grit, just developing resilience. I mean, over life, there'll be good days and bad days, but just stick through the bad days, you know, let the good days outnumber the bad days. And once you're able to develop grit, persistence, resilience, you will achieve everything you desire to achieve. And I think sometimes we need to balance between provision for children versus also letting them develop grit. You know, creating opportunities for them to improve is very crucial whilst they learn the lessons of life. I think that balance for me is one of our most important roles as parents. And then the other one that is linked to it is now living our lives to model these things. You know, let's not be parents that start and stop things halfway, so that they see that completion.
But no, because You're right in that aspect because there's something I tell my friends all the time. Your child is already a pianist. I tell my friends, but I use sports for because that's what I'm inclined to. But I tell them
absolutely
make sure your child has something out there, whether it's sports, vocation he or she actually enjoys.
Yeah,
that you be
excellent.
That thing will actually teach that child will develop as a complete human being, more than just going to sport.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Let me give you an example. Or sports, if it's just any team sport, you realize if the child grows up to become a captain, the person is learning leadership. If the child
absolutely
instead of learning how to work in a team, teamwork, resilience, because then they will teach us if they, for example, when I was younger, if they kick you and you just stay on the ground, your coach will tell you, what are you doing? Like, don't give up. All the training, it teaches you drive, determination, resilience. You must learn all those things to be part of that team. So it's something I tell my friends, it don't have to be football, but make sure if your child likes maybe like piano, keyboard, guitar, encourage them to learn such things and to it, because the beginning part is always frustrating. When you don't understand what you're doing, it's frustrating.
So, absolutely. Yeah. The thing about team sports is such a powerful point to make. In fact, I mean, it's probably the same in every team sport, but I think football is so unique. So unique. I remember my daughter watched the Man U match with me years ago. It was the match where most of, I think, Man U players were injured. They came on wheelchairs, some sort of final, I can't remember. Yeah. Some came on crutches, and almost like the second team, half the team were playing. And if you see the grit they applied, she was literally screaming. I mean, everybody in the house was screaming. Yeah. And just that match alone, the lessons from it could be endless, because like you said, the collaboration, particularly some children find it difficult to collaborate with others, to celebrate with others when they don't win and the others win. As you said, resilience, working together, leadership. Yeah. These things about when they kick you down, don't stay down, get up and continue running. For me, when a child picks that up, oh my, that child is absolutely devastating. It means that the child is not brittle. It will not break under pressure. Everybody is looking for that kind of employee to hire.
Yeah, because no matter what you do, as a human being, it's okay to, maybe let's say something's happening to your life. It's okay to be down, because we are not natural. But just don't stay down. If anybody tells you don't get down, the person is a liar. Just don't stay down. Don't get to me, I don't have any. That's a lie. But it's all about, if you can look around the rest of them, even Usain Bolt, they must have had Michael Jordan, they must have had disappointment, but they did not stay down for long. I remember Michael Jordan even lost the dad. The dad was killed, if you remember, when he was at Chicago.
Yeah,
but he did not. He went 1 year away to play baseball because he was so down. He stopped playing basketball for a year. He went to play baseball and then came back again.
Wow.
So my point is, it's natural. We are human beings. Nobody's perfect.
It is. Yeah.
It's just not staying down for long, and that's one thing. Being like sports teaches you, if you really want to be a champion, to be out there, it teaches you down. You have to keep going. So, but on that note, on the final note now, what advice would you give to men, let's African men in general, because your research is focused on African men and their health behaviors. So what advice men to actually help them to open more and then have a better life?
Yeah. I think I would like to say to men, community is important. Find a few trusted friends, people that you can spill your blood for and who can do the same for you. Yeah. Before whom you guys can bear yourselves to each other. Look, man, I'm struggling in this area. Look, my father had prostate, my grandfather had it, and I'm beginning to experience this. Men with whom you can be safe. Find those friends, find that community, find that safe space, and look out for your health, because if you think you're important to your children, then you better be healthy. So make a habit of checking out. Just go to health facility. Tell them to check you up, check your blood pressure, check your blood sugar, and then adopt healthier lifestyle. It could be 20, 30 press-ups every morning and evening. It could be lifting weights. It could be running. It could be doing aerobics.
Yeah.
It could be, changing your lifestyle. It could be standing, like my professor colleague in Liverpool. His office is a standing office. He's got no chairs, and his computer is hanged on the wall, and he types while standing. And, it could be making one lifestyle change or the other, modifying your habits, reducing sugar intake. But do what it is now that will yield you benefits in the future. And most importantly, spend time with your family, because, you can't get it back when it's gone.
Family is everything. But
thank you.
Because so I'm going to end on that note, because what you said. But I like the fact that our generation, this new crop of fathers, I noticed a lot of them better. I've seen people change their diets. Some people do press ups. Some people go to the gym now. Unlike our father, most of them did not go to the gym or do this or do that. But to be fair, generation is a little bit different. People are going to the gym. People are building gyms. People are doing different things to try as much as possible to keep healthy. That's what we want. Anyway, on that note, thank you so much, Dr. Ebuka, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Atu Rosinga, for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's a pleasure reconnecting.
You can talk about more and more topics affecting men's health going forward.
Anytime, any day, man.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, man.